12 simple things, cheap, but will be the first to disappear when everyone needs them. And when you realize that, it is usually already too late to prepare. You do not lose control in a major disaster. You lose control on a very ordinary afternoon. The car is almost out of gas. The phone has 5% battery left. The store is unusually crowded. Nothing is really wrong until you start to realize it is not that what you need does not exist. It is that you cannot reach it right when you need it the most. Among these 12 items, there is one very familiar, even already in your home. But when you need it, it is the first thing that causes everything afterward to stop. And when you realize the problem, you are already in a situation where you cannot fix it immediately. That is item number 7. But before getting there, start with the thing that always disappears first whenever there is disruption. 12. Fuel. It sounds ordinary, even boring. But the truth is, before you run out of food, before you run out of water, the first thing that gets disrupted is always access to fuel. Not because gasoline disappears, but because too many people need it at the same time. This is not a hypothesis. When geopolitical tensions escalate, especially if major oil transport routes like the Strait of Hormuz are disrupted, gas prices can rise very quickly within just a few days. But what happens faster than prices is human behavior. People do not wait. They act as soon as they feel there is risk. Imagine a very ordinary afternoon. You look at your fuel gauge, almost touching empty, and think you can fill up tomorrow. But when you go out, the gas station is more crowded than usual, lines of cars stretching into the street. You still reassure yourself that it is probably just today. But the next day, you start having to wait. Not just a few minutes, but 30 minutes or an hour. By the third day, some stations stop serving, not because they are completely out of gas, but because they cannot handle the volume of people coming in. One person shared something very noteworthy. He said he has maintained a backup fuel can and rotated its use for more than 20 years. Not to stockpile, not out of fear, but because he considers it part of normal life. He maintains his vehicle, changes filters, keeps everything ready at all times. His goal is not to survive a crisis, but to ensure that daily life is not disrupted. That is a very big difference. What many people do not understand is that gasoline does not disappear because the world runs out of it. Gasoline becomes a problem because the system cannot handle it when everyone acts at the same time. The most common mistake is waiting until it is almost empty to refill. On a normal day, that makes sense, but when there are signs of instability, that is the fastest way to end up in the crowd. And once you are in the crowd, you no longer have control. You depend on the long line ahead, on the remaining supply, and on other people's decisions. Everything escalates very quickly. The first day is just slightly more crowded. The second day, you start waiting. By the third day, you are not sure you will even be served. That time frame does not always last weeks. Sometimes it is just a few days. And that is exactly why you need to prepare before May 5th. Not because there is anything special about that date, but because when you realize you need to act, millions of others are thinking the same thing. When everyone acts at once, the system clogs immediately. At that point, the issue is no longer just refueling. It is whether you can get to work, whether you can move when needed, and whether you have any option other than waiting. In the United States, a car is not a convenience. It is how you live. Losing access to fuel means losing mobility, and that is the first step of losing control. The solution is extremely simple. No need to stockpile, no need to spend a lot of money. Just one habit. Never let your tank drop below half. It sounds simple, but that is exactly what separates you from most people. While they are waiting in line for 2 to 3 hours, you are already done ahead of time. No rushing, no dependence, not getting pulled into the crowd. The distance between you and panic is not about how much money you have, but whether you prepare before things become abnormal. If tomorrow gas stations start getting crowded, will you be the one standing in line or the one who no longer needs to go there? 11. Headlamp is something most people overlook. It does not sound important. But when the power goes out, the first problem is not food. It is that you cannot see anything to do anything. It is not a little dark. It is completely dark. The power goes out, and within seconds, you lose orientation. You open a cabinet, but see nothing. You walk, but are not sure where your feet are. Something simple like finding keys or checking the breaker suddenly becomes a problem. The common mistake is thinking that any light is enough. People grab a flashlight or light a candle. It sounds reasonable, but in reality, it is not. A flashlight takes up one hand. You can still do things, but slower, less accurately, more tiring. There are tasks you almost cannot do properly, especially when you need both hands. If you are holding a child, carrying something, or need to open a door, you will understand immediately. Candles are even worse. The light is weak, fixed, and always carries a fire risk. In a dark, stressful space, with elderly people or children, it is no longer just a light source. It is a risk. The issue is not that you do not have light. It is that you cannot function normally, and that is when things start to slip. At first, it is inconvenience, then delays, then mistakes, and finally risk. The simplest tasks become the things that make you lose control. One person said they keep 5 to 6 headlamps in different places around the house. Not because they are afraid, but because they have had to manage in the dark before, and they do not want to go through that again. The solution is extremely simple. A headlamp. The light follows where you look. Both hands are completely free. You can cook, find things, move around, handle tasks, almost normally. Every household should have at least 2. One is never enough. One can run out of battery. One might not be in the right place when you need it. Once the power is out, you do not get a chance to fix mistakes. And just like fuel, the issue is not whether you have it or not. It is whether you have it before things become abnormal. When you realize you need it, it is usually too late. A headlamp is not just a light. It is what helps you maintain the ability to function when everything around you stops. If the power goes out tonight, will you struggle in the dark? Or still stay in control of everything? 10. Backup power backup. Power sounds like something for convenience. But when the power goes out, the problem is not just darkness. The problem is that you are cut off from the world. The first 15 minutes feel normal. You think the power will come back soon. You wait. You still use your phone as usual. By the 3rd hour, your phone is at about 30%. Wi-Fi is gone. You switch to 4G. The battery starts dropping faster than you expect. At this point, the percentage is no longer just a number. It is a countdown. You begin to change your behavior. Lower the brightness. Close apps. Avoid opening videos. Every time you refresh the news, you hesitate. Then, a small moment happens. You are reading something. The page no longer loads. You try again. Nothing changes. It is not slow internet. You have been cut off from the flow of information. The common mistake is continuing to use the phone as usual, hoping the power will return, or having a power bank but not charging it, not checking it. When you need it, it is useless. The real problem is not that you do not have power. It is that you are gradually losing control. Your phone is about to die. The internet disappears. And when you have no information, you have no options. By the 8th hour, things start to get tense. You look at your phone and realize you only have one chance left. One charge, one decision. Use it or save it. This is when things shift from inconvenience to danger. Not because of the outage, but because you lose control of information. Meanwhile, someone else just plugs in a power bank and continues as usual. They can still communicate, still get updates, still have options. The difference is not the device, it is that they were ready beforehand. The solution is very simple. You do not need to power the whole house. You just need to keep 3 things running: your phone, your connection, and basic lighting. Always charge your power bank before you need it. Do not wait until 5%. Charge at 50 to 60%. If possible, use at least 2 power sources so you are not dependent on one device. When the power is out, set clear priorities. Phone first, internet second, entertainment last. A power bank that is not charged is not preparation. It is just the feeling of being prepared. When the battery hits 0%, you do not just lose power. You lose the ability to respond. If a power outage happens tonight, are you truly ready? Or just hoping things will come back? 9. Toilet paper. Number 9 is toilet paper. It does not sound important, not dangerous, and that is exactly why it disappears faster than you think. When there is instability, people think about water, food, batteries, medicine. Very few think about toilet paper, because in their minds it is something that is always available. If it runs out, they will buy it tomorrow. No need to worry in advance. And that is the mistake. Toilet paper is not rare. It only disappears when everyone remembers it at the same time. One day you go to the store and see the shelves starting to thin out. You think it is fine. The next day, it is completely empty. People start taking whatever is left. At that point, the issue is no longer which type to choose, but whether there is any left at all. The common mistake is waiting until it is almost gone to buy more. On a normal day, that works. But when crowd behavior begins, that habit always puts you behind. The problem is not just inconvenience. It is the lingering discomfort. The first day you can tolerate it. The second day, it starts to bother you. By the third day, it affects every small part of your routine. Something that seems trivial begins to disrupt your sense of normalcy. This is not a real shortage. It is a bottleneck caused by collective behavior. The solution is very simple. No need to stockpile excessively. Just always keep enough for 2 to 4 weeks. When you open the last pack, that is when you should buy more, not when you reach the last roll. A small but effective tip. Do not keep everything in one place. Split it into a few spots around the house so you always have time to adjust. And in a worse scenario, remember that you always have temporary alternatives. What matters is not perfection, but not falling into a situation where you have no options. Toilet paper is not something that makes you panic. But when it disappears, you will see your life start to shift little by little. If tomorrow the shelves start to empty, will you think it is probably fine? Or understand that the smallest things are often the first to disappear? 8. Lighter/matches. You do not think about fire. until someone needs it immediately. One evening, the power goes out, no warning, the house is dark. You make your way to the kitchen. There is water, there's a stove, everything is there. Someone says, "Heat up some water." You turn the knob, nothing happens. You try again. Still nothing. No spark, no click, no reaction. You stand there for a few seconds and then start searching. The drawer, nothing. The kitchen shelf, nothing. The place you are sure it should be, also nothing. Behind you, people are still waiting. No one says anything, but you know one thing clearly. You cannot do a very simple task that you should be able to do. The feeling is not panic, it is discomfort. Then it turns into pressure. You are not missing anything big. You are just missing one very small thing, and it blocks everything else. A lighter that costs a few dollars, a box of matches even cheaper. But without it, the stove is useless. Water cannot be heated. Food cannot be cooked. Everything stops. Someone once shared that during the major blizzard in Buffalo at the end of December 2022, when temperatures dropped below zero and the power was out for hours, they had a stove, gas, food, but no lighter. They had to sit and eat cold food in a house getting colder for hours, not because they lacked anything big, but just because they lacked a spark to start. And in that cold, not having hot water was no longer an inconvenience. It was something you felt every minute. You keep searching. The more you look, the more frustrated you get. Not because it is difficult, but because it should not happen. This is not a shortage. This is missing it at the exact moment. A lighter somewhere in the house has no value when you need it in your hand right now. And if the situation goes further, the lighter runs out of fuel, the matches are damp, you have no quick option left. Then you have to go back to the most basic method, starting a fire from scratch. Stone, metal, a small spark. Slow, difficult, but it is the only thing left when modern tools do not work. A small, cheap item no one pays attention to, but it is the starting point for everything that follows. Without fire, you cannot start anything. If tonight someone needs you to heat water, will you get it done in seconds? Or stand there, digging through everything and realizing you cannot control the simplest task? 7. Portable stove. A portable stove sounds like a convenience item. Nice to have, not essential. But when the power goes out, the problem is not whether you have food or not. You have everything, but you cannot create a meal. One evening, the power goes out. No warning. The house is dark. You open the cabinet. There is rice, there are noodles, there is canned food. At a glance, you think you are fine. But when you step into the kitchen, everything is silent. The electric stove does not work. No heat. No way to cook. Behind you, someone asks, "Is there anything hot to eat?" You do not answer right away. You look back at what you have and realize you cannot do a very simple thing. Cook a meal. In the first few hours, you manage. Eat something quick, no problem. But that temporary solution starts to stretch. By the second day, you begin to feel uncomfortable. No hot water, no rice, no proper meal. You eat to fill your stomach, not to live normally. At this point, you are not lacking food. You are lacking a way to use it. By the third day, you start losing your appetite. Not because you run out of food, but because everything you have does not turn into what you need. This is the breaking point. Not a shortage, but unusable. Someone once found themselves in this situation during a prolonged outage. The house was still full of food, but there was no alternative stove. After 2 days of eating cold meals, They had to go out to find hot food, while everything around them was already overloaded. Not because they prepared poorly, but because they missed one small step: the ability to cook. Uncooked food is just stored supply, not a solution. The solution is very simple: a portable gas stove. It does not depend on electricity. Turn it on and use it. You can boil water, cook rice, heat anything immediately. But just buying it is not enough. You need to keep it in a place you can grab right away, have backup fuel ready, and most importantly, you have used it before. A stove you have never used will not help you in this situation. When someone needs a hot meal, you do not have a second option. A portable stove is not a convenience. It is what turns having food into being able to live normally. If the power goes out tonight, can you cook a hot meal in a few minutes? Or will you stand in front of a cabinet full of food and realize you cannot do anything with it? 6. Medicine and first aid. Medicine and first aid sound like things for serious situations. But most problems do not start big. They start from very small things. One evening, you are working at home when someone says, "I think I have a fever." You touch their forehead. Warm. Not too high, but enough to know something is wrong. Normally, you would just go out, buy medicine, and be done in 30 minutes. But today, you cannot go anywhere. You start searching. The medicine is somewhere in the house. Maybe in a drawer. Maybe in a cabinet. Maybe it was used last time. You check place after place. Not enough. Missing. Or you are not sure if it is still usable. Behind you, someone is still waiting for you to handle it. And you realize you cannot do a very basic thing: handle a mild fever. That is when the problem begins. Not a serious illness, but you cannot handle a minor one. In the first few hours, you think it is fine. A little rest will help. But the fever does not go away. The person becomes more tired. You start to worry a bit more. Not because it is immediately dangerous, but because you cannot control the situation. A small cut is the same. If you treat it right away, no problem. But if you do not have bandages, no disinfectant, you leave it. And with each passing hour, the risk increases a little. Everything escalates quietly. At first, it is discomfort, then fatigue. Then it starts affecting thinking. Tired people make worse decisions. People in pain make mistakes more easily. And when you are not at your best, you begin to lose control in other areas. This is the breaking point. Not because of the illness, but because it reduces your ability to handle everything else around you. Someone once shared that during a disruption, they had enough food, enough water, but no basic medicine. A mild fever lasting 2 days left them exhausted, unable to do anything, and everything else in the house began to unravel. Not because of lack of resources, but because they could not handle the smallest issue from the start. The solution is not complicated. You do not need a large medical cabinet, just a basic but complete kit. Pain relievers, fever reducers, bandages, disinfectant, and more importantly, everything must be in one place. Easy to see, easy to grab, always ready. A first aid kit that you have to search for is the same as not having one. Medicine and first aid are not for handling big situations. They are to keep small problems from becoming big ones. If tonight someone has a fever or gets a cut, will you handle it in a few minutes? Or will you stand there searching piece by piece while the situation gets worse? 5. Water filter. A water filter in the United States costs around $20 to $50. Not expensive. But you only understand its value when you are no longer sure you can drink the water. One day the power goes out, Everything starts normally. Water still runs, you still use it. But then pressure builds. You start using less, conserving more. And at some point, you turn on the tap. The water weakens, then stops completely. No more water. At that moment, you do not have time to think much. Your body will get thirsty, not tomorrow, but within a few hours. You start looking for anything left. A bottle of water, an unopened container. You divide it, use it little by little. But your body does not care that you want to conserve. You are still thirsty. Then there comes a point when there is nothing left in the house. You are forced to go outside to find another source. You find water, but not bottled water. Not something you used to trust. Just water you can get. You look at it. Clear, no smell, seems fine. But you do not know. You know there is risk. But you also know you cannot not drink. This is the breaking point. Not the lack of water, but that you have to drink when you are not sure it is safe. If you are alone, you might accept it. But when others need to drink, you cannot guess. You have to decide. And that is the kind of decision no one wants to make. Someone once went through this. Water in front of them. But they did not dare to drink. They delayed, waited longer, hoped things would improve. But the body does not wait. In the end, they still had to drink, in uncertainty. That is no longer normal living. That is survival. A water filter completely changes that situation. It does not need to be complicated, just enough to turn an uncertain water source into something you can use immediately. You do not need to guess. You do not need to trade off between thirst and risk. A water filter that is not ready is the same as not having one. An item that costs $20 to $50, but decides whether you have to drink something you do not trust just to survive or not. If tomorrow you are thirsty, and the only water in front of you is something you are not sure about, will you drink right away? Or will you stand there, still hesitating? 4. Stored food. You think the problem is running out of food, but in reality, it starts earlier. You open the cabinet. There is still food, not lacking. But the way you eat begins to change. No more structured meals, no more schedule. You eat whenever you feel the need. A little, then a little more. Then go back for more. Not because you are immediately hungry, but because you are not sure when you will need it again. This is what many people do not realize. You do not run out of food because of shortage. You run out faster because of how you start using it. The first day you are still normal. The second day you start taking a little extra just in case. By the third day, you no longer remember how much you have eaten. You lose control. And that is the breaking point. Not because the cabinet is empty, but because you no longer know how long it will last. Someone once faced this situation during a disruption. They had enough food for many days, but everything disappeared faster than expected. Not because they ate more, but because they were always eating in a state of preparing ahead. You do not eat to be full. You eat to reduce worry. And the more you worry, the faster you use it. This is what breaks plans the fastest. The solution is not about buying more, but controlling how you use it. Divide portions clearly. Know how much is enough for each day, and most importantly, you are already used to eating those foods under normal conditions. If not, you will use them the wrong way. A full cabinet does not mean you are ready. If you cannot control how you use it, then you are still lacking. When the second day begins, will you eat normally, or will you start taking a little extra and not be able to stop? 3. cold storage would you dare to eat food from the refrigerator after 24 hours without power? At first, you do not think much. The power is out for a few hours. The fridge is still cold. Everything seems the same. You open it, take something, close it. Nothing to worry about. But there is something you do not see. The temperature is slowly rising. 6 to 8 hours later, you open it again. It is no longer as cold as before. The meat still looks normal. The milk has no smell yet. You think it is probably still usable, and you close the door. This is when the problem begins. You do not know exactly when it is no longer safe. There is no clear sign, no color, no warning. Just a period of time that you have already missed. You stand in front of a very difficult choice. Use it, or throw it away. If you use it, you are not sure. If you throw it away, you lose a large portion of the food you prepared. This is a very frustrating kind of loss, not because you lack it immediately, but because you see it still there, yet you no longer trust it. The first day, you still try to use it. The second day, you start to doubt. The things you once considered safe now become a question. You throw away more. And each time, you know you are getting closer to having nothing left. Someone once went through a prolonged outage. The refrigerator was still full, but after one day, they no longer dared to use most of what was inside. Not because it was clearly spoiled, but because they could not be sure. In the end, they had to throw away almost everything. It is not that you do not have food. It is that you cannot preserve it. The solution is not buying more refrigerated items. It is keeping the cold when the power is out. A cooler, stored ice, or simply limiting how often you open the fridge. You are buying time. And in this situation, time is what decides everything. A full refrigerator does not mean you are safe. If you cannot control the temperature, you will lose everything without any warning. If the power goes out tonight, will you keep your food for another day? Or will you open the fridge, see everything still there, and no longer dare to use it? 2. Information/radio. The less information you have, the slower you become. And in these situations, being one step slow means losing the advantage. Others have already prepared, already left, already adjusted, while you are still sitting there guessing. Then something else appears. Rumors. One person says one thing, another says something else. Some say it is fine, others say it will get worse. You do not know who to believe. And when there is no clear source, anything you hear starts affecting your decisions. It is not that you do not have supplies. It is that you do not know what to do with them. And then someone turns to you and asks, "What should we do now?" The worst thing is not that you are afraid. It is that you do not have an answer. Meanwhile, someone else just uses a small battery-powered radio. They do not know everything, but they know enough. They know which areas are affected. They know whether to stay or prepare. They know when to conserve and when to act. When every screen goes silent, a radio is one of the few things still talking to you. The solution is very simple. A radio that runs on AA or AAA batteries or a hand crank model. It does not need to be modern. It just needs to work when everything else stops. And more importantly, you have tested it before you need it. An information device without power is the same as not having one. If tonight all connections disappear, will you know what to do? Or will you just sit there, guessing and hoping you are not wrong? 1. Heavy-duty trash bags. A roll of trash bags in the United States costs around $10 to $20. Cheap, easy to buy, and everyone assumes it is always available. But the reality is, you do not lose control because you lack big things. You lose control when small things start to pile up, and trash piles up the fastest. On a normal day, you throw it away and it disappears. You never have to think about it. But when the system is disrupted, trash does not disappear anymore. It stays. Day 1, a bit inconvenient. Day 2, it starts to smell. By day 3, it becomes a sanitation issue. Many people think trash bags are always available, or they can just buy them when needed. But when everyone needs them at the same time, shelves empty very quickly. Not because of shortage, but because the system gets clogged. And when you do not have trash bags, everything escalates. Trash accumulates. Space becomes messy. Odors affect your mindset. Sanitation declines, and it does not stop there. When water is out, the toilet may not work. At that point, trash bags are no longer just for garbage. They become a solution. A temporary toilet, water storage, keeping things dry, covering from rain. A very simple item, but it keeps your living environment from falling into chaos. The solution is clear. Just a few rolls of heavy-duty trash bags, kept in an easy-to-reach place. Do not wait until you need them to think about it, because at that moment, everyone else is doing the same. A roll of trash bags that is not ready is the same as not having one. If tomorrow trash can no longer disappear, how will you handle it? There are things in life so normal that you do not think about them. Electricity, water, a hot meal, a clear source of information. But it only takes one day for things to shift, and you will see they are not guaranteed. You do not need to be afraid, and you do not need to over-prepare. Just understand one thing. When things change, those who are prepared do not panic. They are not faster, not better. They just know what to do. Preparation is not about fighting the worst case. It is how you keep your life from falling out of rhythm. May 5th is not an important date, but it is a reminder. You can start while things are still easy, or wait until things become urgent. You do not need to do everything. You just need to start. If one day things are no longer normal, will you panic? Or stay calm and do what you have already prepared?